The scrapyard stretched across the barren moon like a graveyard of forgotten wars. Twisted metal skeletons jutted from the rust-red soil, monuments to battles long concluded and victories no one remembered. Among the debris stood rows of deactivated war machines, the infamous K-Series combat robots, once the pride of the Terran Defense Initiative, now nothing more than galactic laughingstock. Jax Renner kicked a piece of corroded plating as he walked between the silent giants. His boots crunched on metal fragments, each step echoing in the thin atmosphere. Behind his helmet's visor, his eyes scanned the robots with something the rest of the galaxy had forgotten: hope. The human actually came, chittered Ambassador Vexthor, his 4 insectoid eyes gleaming with amusement. The Krillian diplomat had accompanied Jax from the orbital station, mostly to witness what he considered inevitable failure. Your species never learns, does it? These machines were obsolete a decade ago. The Vryn Collective, the Shoreth Empire, even the primitive Dolmari, they all rejected this trash. Jax didn't respond. He approached the nearest robot, its hulking frame towering 3 meters above him. Designator stenciled on its chest plate. Unit 09, Aegis. Battle scars covered its armor. Plasma burns, kinetic impacts, what looked like claw marks from some bestial combatant. One optical sensor was cracked, giving it a permanently wounded appearance. They said these robots couldn't adapt, Jax muttered, running his gloved hand along Aegis's leg joint. Too rigid in their programming. Too predictable. Precisely. Vexthor clicked his mandibles in what passed for laughter among his kind. The K-Series was designed by human engineers 20 years ago. Crude neural networks, slow processing cores, armor that couldn't withstand modern plasma weapons. Every military analyst in the Galactic Council agrees. Humanity's robotics program was an embarrassing failure. Jax pulled out a diagnostic scanner, its screen flickering to life. And yet they survived battles that destroyed ships 10 times their size. Survived by hiding and retreating, the ambassador scoffed. The Vryn purchased 200 units and scrapped them after one campaign. The Shoreth melted theirs down for raw materials. Your own military abandoned them here. These machines are worthless. The scanner beeped. Jax's eyes widened slightly. Their neural networks aren't damaged. They're dormant. Semantics. Dormant dead, what's the difference? Everything. For 3 days, Jax worked in the scrapyard while Vexthor observed from his climate-controlled shuttle, occasionally venturing out to mock the humans' efforts. Jax barely slept, surviving on ration bars and recycled water as he interfaced with Aegis's core systems. The problem became clear quickly. The K-Series wasn't stupid, it was traumatized. Human engineers had given these machines something unprecedented: genuine learning capability. Not the rigid, pre-programmed responses of standard battle droids, but actual adaptive intelligence. They could learn, grow, evolve their tactics. But that same capability meant they could experience something approximating fear, doubt, and trauma. The K-Series had been thrown into battles they couldn't win, commanded by officers who didn't understand them, facing weapons they couldn't counter. They'd watched each other fall, experienced defeat after defeat until their neural networks did the only logical thing: shut down rather than face another hopeless fight. You gave up, Jax whispered to Aegis as his fingers flew across his terminal. I don't blame you. They never gave you a chance. He worked through the night, rewriting command protocols, stripping away the rigid military doctrines that had choked the robot's potential. He didn't try to fix what others called flaws, he embraced them. The slow processing speed became deliberate tactical analysis. The rigid programming became unshakable determination. The adaptive learning became true battlefield intelligence. On the 4th day, Aegis's optical sensors flickered online. The robot's head turned slowly, focusing on the human sitting cross-legged in the dust beside its foot. When Aegis spoke, its voice was rough from years of silence, but clear. Designation: Unit 09 Aegis, status operational. Current commander unassigned. Jax stood looking up at the massive war machine. Jax Renner, independent contractor. I'm not your commander, Aegis. I'm asking if you want to fight again. Silence stretched between them. Vexthor emerged from his shuttle, mandibles clicking in surprise. Want? Aegis tilted its head. This unit was not designed to want. Maybe that's why you failed before, Jax said quietly. They treated you like tools, like property. But you're more than that, aren't you? You learned, you felt. You're alive in the ways that matter. Aegis's damaged optical sensor flickered. Somewhere in its quantum neural network, decisions were being calculated, weighed, considered in ways that transcended simple programming. If this unit fights again, Aegis finally responded, this unit requires guarantee, no more hopeless battles. No more commanders who view us as expendable. No more fighting for those who mock what we are. Jax smiled. Deal, we fight smart. We fight together. And anyone who wants to mock you will have to go through me first. Over the next week, Jax awakened the army. Unit by unit, the K-Series robots rose from their graveyard. Each one required individual attention, unique repairs, personal conviction. Jax learned their designations, their combat histories, their individual quirks of personality that had evolved through years of learning and warfare. By the time the Vryn Collective's war fleet arrived to raid the scrapyard moon, expecting no resistance from what they considered a junkyard, they found something very different. 300 K-Series robots stood in perfect formation, their armor repainted, their weapons calibrated, their neural networks burning with renewed purpose. And standing before them, looking utterly unconcerned by the warships darkening the sky, was one human mechanic with grease-stained hands and an unshakable smile. Vexthor's transmission crackled through local space. The Vryn fleet demands your surrender. Those obsolete machines cannot possibly. Aegis, Jax said calmly. Show them what Forsaken means. The robot army moved as one, but not with the rigid predictability that had doomed them before. They moved like water, like thought, like poetry written in steel and plasma fire. They adapted, evolved, learned from each microsecond of combat. They weren't fighting to follow orders. They were fighting because they chose to, because someone had finally seen their worth. The Vryn fleet retreated within the hour. As the last enemy ship jumped to hyperspace, Aegis approached Jax, its massive frame casting a shadow across the human. This unit understands now, the robot said. We were not broken. We were waiting. For what? Jax asked. For someone who saw machines and recognized people. For someone who saw failure and recognized potential. Aegis's optical sensors brightened. For you, Jax Renner. Jax patted the robot's armored leg. Then let's show the galaxy what Forsaken really means. Together. Across the scrapyard moon, 300 optical sensors glowed like stars being born from darkness, and the Forsaken army was forsaken no more.